Hi, I'm Patrick, and this is the Mach-E vlog. Today we have some products from TWRAPS that I'm really excited to try out and apply some paint protection to different parts of the Mustang Mach-E, so let's go. Just after we bought our Mach-E, we got some paint protection film applied to the front of the car. A lot of times it's referred to as PPF. Sometimes in the old days it was referred to as the clear bra, so it was just done on the very front of the car. But we basically got the full front end done, including the A-pillars and the mirrors. But there are some other vulnerable parts that I'd like to get protected, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Got these products from TWRAPS. It's a family-owned business here in California, and they were gracious enough to send us a couple of sample products so that we can try it out and let you know what we think and sort of demo the install process. They have some great installation videos on their website, and if you do buy from them, check out their installation videos. This isn't like an install how-to. It's just more of like an overview of the process and how does it look, how easy is it from our perspective. You may recall that on our first Mach-E, this is our second, we traded the first one in to get this one. The first one we did PPF ourselves, so I felt very confident that with these smaller portions that we'll be able to do it with relative ease. Doing the whole hood and the front end is a bit more complicated. If you want to give it a try, we'll put a link to the video above, down below, wherever, so that you can see the process that takes. Doing these smaller areas, I think, is a lot easier. I think all of you will be able to do it with relative ease. So give it a try if there are some areas that you want protected. Now, TWRAPS doesn't do like the whole hood, but they do like a half hood clear bra. They do some protection for the headlights, as well as like you can get the nose portion done. Various little parts on the Mach-E that are sort of vulnerable to rock chips and whatnot. So they have some very good options. They started off doing some protection film for Tesla. They've now expanded to the Mustang Mach-E as well as Rivian. They are looking to protect other EVs. They're EV enthusiasts and family owned, which is why I think it's really great that they're getting into this. So the two products that they sent us to test out, this one is the B and C pillars. If you don't know, this is the A pillar. We have PPF up to here on this one, the B pillar, and then the C pillar. These are unprotected on the Mach-E. They're unprotected on this one, and they're actually very susceptible because it's like a plastic, but it gets a lot of swirl scratches. I don't really have any on this one yet. On our old Mach-E, after washing it a few times, I got some of those scratches on it. There are some like a little bit up here that I'm gonna try to do an overlay if I can catch it. You have to sort of get it in the right light to see it. But hopefully the PPF will, first of all, cover those up and then prevent it from getting any further scratches or damage. They have a few options. So I'm going with just the clear PPF, but you can get like a matte finish. I think they have a ceramic, a carbon fiber look finish as well. I like the PPF because we have the little numbers here on the Mach-E, and with the PPF, you can see right through that, and you don't have to have like a cutout in the satin finish to see the numbers that you have on the Mach-E to get entry into the car. The other one, and this is the bigger one, it's basically going to cover the one that I was worried about is this black part here, but this package actually includes the part from the sort of crease in the Mach-E down. So basically just below the Mach-E logo here down. And by the way, just so you know, if you haven't tried it yet, be very careful when you are washing around the Mach-E. This little tab here on a lot of the early Mach-Es, people were washing their car and they would snag that and it would snap off. I think that they're using better adhesive now, but just watch out for that when you're washing your Mach-E. Inside the box, and I'll start with the B and C pillar, it basically is just some rolled up PPF. And they have a little spray bottle that I already have filled up with slip solution. And basically slip solution, you just take some like dishwashing soap, like 1 drop for this whole bottle, fill it up with water, and then that's what they call as a slip solution. If you're doing bigger areas of PPF, a lot of people will use slip solution and tack solution. Tack solution is alcohol and water. With these small areas, we don't really need to worry about that, so that's fine. But this is the PPF roll. And then they also include a little squeegee-like thing. So as we apply it, this will help us smooth it out. And that's it. And there's a little spray bottle in each of these rolls. I've already looked in the other box as well, but we're gonna get started with the B and C pillar. And we gotta make sure we have the right ones. You can't see it because it's done in PPF, but there's a P here, so that's the passenger side. So what I'm gonna do is separate that, put that up here. I'm gonna go put the other one away. It's always a good idea to sort of look and make sure you have the alignment correct and that it's going to work. I'm going to start back here, and the reason I'm going to do that is just simply for the fact that this is a smaller area, so I can sort of test it out and make sure I know what I'm doing before I commit to doing the bigger area and then the one down below. Now the idea is to make sure the surface is slippery, the back of the film is slippy, and then as well as the top layer. And that means you're gonna spray the surface, you're gonna spray the surface of the PPF, and then when you pull it off, you're gonna spray it a little bit, and then put it on, and then use the squeegee, what is that thing called? To get rid of the excess water. Let me grab it. Where did I stick it? It's down here. So now everything is ready. I'm gonna start here. Now, the Mach-E can be sensitive with the buttons, especially up in the front. So I would make sure, even if you have phone as a key active, have your key fob with you because you may set off the alarm if it gets confused. And just spray this. I'm going to peel it off. I'm going to spray the back, and you don't have to get it 100% wet. You just want it to be able to slide around just a little bit. And then it's actually moving all around. But once I get the alignment looking good, and that basically is your call, it goes almost to the edge of each. So what I'm doing is basically making sure that the button and the little lock thing are aligned the way I want. And then I'm going to start getting rid of some of the excess water. And as I do that, it's starting to set quite a bit more. And you want to get out as many bubbles as you can, hopefully all of them. And if there are some little bubbles left, sometimes they'll work their way out on their own, but just try to get them all out on little small things like this. It's definitely better just to get them all the way out. I found that when we did the bigger PPF, if we had any excess bubbles, a little cheat is that you can take a very, very fine needle. I actually used a syringe needle to pop some of the bubbles, but you definitely don't want any creases in it. So if you get any creases, that's not a good thing. If you can't get rid of the bubbles, one of the things you can actually do is peel it up and then get rid of it, and then basically like put it all the way back down. But the other thing you have to watch out for is if you put a little bit too much solution, it can be a bit too slippery and will start sliding around as you're trying to squeegee out the the bubbles. But that's it, that one's done. I'm gonna let it dry a little bit, but I also have my EV Wash little cloth. I'm gonna wipe it down a little bit. And if, as you're dragging this across, if it is slipping around too much, you can just spray a little bit more solution on top. But how does that look? Does that look good? Is that a bubble? That might be a bubble. There. Now, one of the reasons why I like putting PPF, besides the fact that I'm worried about the little scratches here, it also means that as I get dirt on this, after it dries and is all cured, then it means like I can sort of scrub this and it's like I know I'm not gonna damage the actual Mach-E material. I might damage the PPF at worst, but that's just an easy thing to take care of. By the way, the B and C pillars for both sides is about $55. The lower protection is a couple hundred. They do have sales and discount codes. Like if you sign up for their newsletter, I think you can get like 10% off. If I have any discount codes, I'll put them down in the description. So definitely check the description to see if there's any discount codes for you. All right. We'll quickly do the next two. So once again, I'm just gonna spray, let's see, which one should I start with? We'll do the back one. It's hard to see when it's so clear. Now if you come up close, you can see that there's a bunch of bubbles in this one. And I'm just gonna make sure I get my alignment the way that I want. And then just start squeegeeing the bubbles out. Make sure that the top is sort of set. And then squeegee out some here. And I actually just pulled it up a little bit there, so let me put that back down. It's fairly easy to work with. Have you ever done like one of the film protectors, screen protectors for your phone? It's almost the exact same thing. Just a bit of a bigger area. And if you mess up, you can literally, while it still hasn't set, you can just pull it all the way back off if you need to. Just want to make sure you're in a clean environment. You also want to make sure the temperature's right, which means you want it to be about 65 to 75 degrees is optimal. If it's too warm, it's going to cure too fast, which means it's going to be hard to like adjust your placement. And if it's too cold, nothing works well in the cold, right? We'll set that down. Now we'll do the last one. And you see the lock thing just went off. And of course, the sticky part is on the back. So that's the part that you don't want to touch if you can avoid it. I mean, you have to like hold it, but touch it as little as possible. And you can see I can just use my fingers to get rid of some of the big bubbles. And align it exactly the way I want. They are designed to go close to the edge, but not over it. If it goes over it, the issue is that you can get water and dirt underneath, and over time it's going to lift up. So, and the first couple of wipes here are sort of the critical ones, because once I get it sort of set, it makes it harder to move. So you want to just sort of take your time on the first ones, make sure it's set, make sure it's not sticking over the edge or anything. Double check the alignment, and then start working on the other parts of it. The other thing that you want to remember is that it does take some time for it to completely dry. So I would leave it, give it a good day or so before you get it wet. You can drive it in an hour or two probably, but the longer the better. So like you know, do it on a Sunday afternoon or something like that, and then don't drive the car until the morning. And if it's going to rain on Monday, don't do it on Sunday. You know, give it a complete 24 hours to let everything dry. And then now I'll wipe down both of these. It should be looking pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna let those dry. I will do, oh, I see a bubble. I'm gonna let those dry, and then we'll do the install on the bottom part and come back and check these in a little bit and see how it is. And of course, we gotta do the other side as well. But I won't make you watch the whole video for that. So we'll skip ahead a little bit. Okay. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated. Those are relatively flat surfaces with only a slight curve. This one is not that big of a deal, but this lower part I'm gonna do first because it has a pretty significant little crease or curves here. So it's gonna be a bit tricky. I'm also gonna be extra cautious because we are so close to the ground. I don't want the PPF to touch the ground. That could actually just ruin it, like if I get a bunch of dirt on the backside. And because it has a bit more curve, I'm going to spray a bit extra. And again, it's hard to see, but over here I can see they put a P and a B, which means passenger side back. Smells good, smells like soap. And then try not to get any creases, but to make things easier, I'm going to spray a little bit. Peel some more back, spray some more, peel some more back. This is definitely a lot trickier, but still, I think fairly doable for everyone. Just take your time, and you can see I'm getting the top portion aligned, and then I'll curve it around. The alignment looks pretty good. It's always hard to see when you're dealing with PPF, but I think this is a good area to protect because just from the front tires and whatnot, I have a feeling this is going to be getting a lot of chips over time. I think that looks good. So, oop, started to fold it over and I pulled it down. So, I'm just holding my breath here. That's all I'm doing now. I just refilled the slip solution. It wasn't completely out, but it was over halfway. So now we're gonna do this part up here. This is what I was talking about is I was interested in just protecting the black, but this kit comes with the one that goes all the way up to this divider line, basically. So I'm going to do that one next. And if you're doing a bigger area, you can fill a bigger spray bottle. I thought this one might be a little bit too small, but it's actually the right size and very easy to just sort of slip in my pocket or whatever as I'm doing this. Now, there will be a visible line if you get very close and look down here. PPF is meant to be invisible, but of course you will see it on something like this. So if you don't want to see that, you could always just leave this portion off and just protect the black part. But I think, especially this part right here, I think there might get some chips and whatnot. A lot of dirt. That's the other part I like about having PPF is that if you get a bunch of like rotar or something like that, you know it's on the PPF first of all, so it's not on your paint damaging it. And then it's also like if you need to scrub the heck out of it, you're scrubbing the PPF, not the paint. And that looks really good. And even though I say it's visible, it is very, very hard to tell. The A-pillar has it on there, but I can't even, like, unless I'm really looking for it, I can't see where the line is, the dividing line is. Now on the hood, that might be a little bit more visible being in direct sunlight. And it is moving around a bit, but that's okay. It actually, by moving around, makes it easy to like reposition if I need to get the alignment the way that I want. Just be very careful that you don't remove it too far and then get it stuck somewhere. And this is a relatively flat surface here, even though we have the curve, it's right below where the curve starts. So it means it's relatively flat and easy to move. This one here, because it had the crease, oop, I see a bubble down there. And that's another good reminder. Like a few minutes after you do it, go back and check and see if you have any bubbles. There's another one right there. So, okay. Now I gotta do the front part. This is the one I'm sort of dreading. It's now getting to the bigger pieces. And the bigger the piece, the harder it is just to like hold the PPF and whatnot. So, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but you're gonna see me try it and either succeed or fail. And my initial thought was like, if I could just lay this down on the garage floor, but I don't want to do that because the garage floor is just dirty. So I'm going to just do the best that I can. Any little speck of dust you think wouldn't be that big of a deal, but every little speck of dust really shows up if you get it underneath the PPF. On the surface, you just wipe it off, but underneath, it's going to be there permanently. So you got to be really, really careful. And one of the things I learned is just get it somewhat tacked on somewhere so that it can hold. And then there, we're good to go. I can now worry about getting the middle attached, but that way it didn't touch the ground. And it's not like saran wrap or whatever like that. You accidentally touch it somewhere and now it's permanently stuck or starts to wrinkle or whatever. But yeah, I'm just gonna get this top portion sort of done. But yeah, going back to the dust, it's better to do this in a garage. You don't want to do it outside if you can avoid that. You don't want to do it with the garage door open because you don't want to get any type of dust or debris underneath because it stands out like a sore thumb if you do. But you can see like it's just dangling down right now. And that's just so that I can get this top portion the way that I want. And then gently get the edge done without introducing too many bubbles underneath. I'm doing it more by feel than anything right now so that I can watch the top, make sure I'm not pulling it too much. As I pull it or get it around the edge, it wants to pull down from this top edge. So I'm just working it so that it doesn't do that. I'll get my spray bottle. Now I'm gonna spray this a little bit. If you get too much of this water underneath, it'll just slide around way too much to be, too workable. If you get too much on the outside, it's no big deal. You just wipe it off. And you see I'm constantly wiping to the edges, trying to get the bubbles out the shortest route possible. And then with the edge, what I'm doing is I'm starting above the edge, sort of pinching it over because there's like slight bubbles like right on the edge of it, the curve. And if I start here, there's a risk that it'll push the bubbles up. I want the bubbles to go down. And this one is still just as long as the other one I just put on, but it's a lot thinner or skinnier, which is good and bad. Because it's far less to have to worry about moving around, but because it's so small, it's easy to like flop like that, like in the middle. And if you have another pair of hands, instead of having the other pair of hands film you, it can be a little bit easier. But you do really have to coordinate all of this and make sure you're on the same page. So this is far easier than the bottom black half. Getting down to the final little pieces. We won't do both sides on camera, but I'll get them both done, obviously. And even though this is a little one, it basically introduces its own difficulties. And part of it is because it's curved, but because it's so small, like I'm having a trouble right here, it wants to lift up, which in that case, what I'm going to do is do the best that I can to get the bubble out and get it to lay down and stick. But what I might have to do is just sort of get it sort of tacked on as best I can for now, and then come back in a few minutes, like 30 minutes, and then work on it some more and get it to, you know, once it's less water on the backside. I'm gonna spray this area, and because the other area is so small, I'm gonna spray that as well. And then we'll do both of these, one right after the other. Yeah, that's the right way. And wow, that one looks really good. It's sliding around a lot. The smaller pieces, of course, slide around more. And it feels good to be done with one side. Looks starting to look great as it's drying. Of course, the real test will be once it's completely dry to make sure have all the bubbles gone. But so far, I think it's looking great. And now it's protected. So there we go. And just sort of like standing back like this, you can sort of see my spray marks more than anything, but you can't see that there's any type of plastic protection on it. It just looks really good. These are getting really dry, so I see like one little micro bubble there, a couple back here, but I'm not gonna worry about those right now. That's all for the install of this side. We won't show the other side, but that's quick and easy install. I should have timed myself to see exactly how long this took per side, but overall, relatively easy. If you have another set of hands, it can help, but it's also a very easy one-person install, and then you'll be protected. So we're gonna let this dry a little bit. I'll wipe it down some, and then we will take a look and we'll wrap this up. Okay, we're all done. I think it looks fantastic. If you don't notice any difference, that's sort of the point. You shouldn't really see a difference when you put PPF on. It should be just looking the same as before. I have a couple of tiny small bubbles. I'm not gonna worry about them right now. We'll give it a couple of weeks and then I'll touch it up if I have to. If you're seeing this video, that means it's still all good. If I have any problems, I'll take the video down. So basically, we'll keep this video up, we'll keep it going, and I'll drop any notes down in the comments and below if there are any updates. But as of right now, I'm really impressed. I like that it's $55 to cover the B and C pillars, a couple hundred for the lower half of the car, the rocker panels, I guess you call them. They're, like I said, they have stuff to cover the headlights. They have like the door seal covers. They have stuff to cover some of the things that can get dinged in the back of the car, like when you're loading stuff in and out. So various great little areas to protect the Mach-E. I may order some more in the next couple of months just to protect more of the car. So 2 thumbs up. If you have any questions for me, drop them in the comments below. If you have any questions for TWRAPS, I'll put a link to their website below. Of course, it's just TWRAPS.com. You can go find it yourself. But overall, I really like it. Let me know how it goes if you give this a try, if you have any difficulties, if you have any tips that could be useful for other people that I left out. Make sure you share those as well. We're all a big Mach-E community. We want to help each other out. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't, hit subscribe. We'll be doing more product reviews like this, more testing of stuff, more road trips, of course. All that's coming up. And just remember, whatever you drive or however you protect it, enjoy the ride. Bye.